Akashvani Mangaluru presents Voices from the Bookshelf in collaboration with Bookolics Mangaluru. Dear listeners, welcome to today's episode of Voices from the Bookshelf. Let us lend our ears to Atul Prabhu Panimangalur, who will speak about the book Nanna Tamma Shankara by Anant in the genre of biography.
It's with the deep reverence and emotion that I present before you today to speak about a book that is not just a literary work but an intimate journey into the life of one of Karnataka's most iconic cultural figures, an emotional tribute to one of Karnataka's most beloved sons, Shankar. The book Nanna Tamma Shankara, written by Anant, who shares not only a brotherly bond with Shankar but also a deep artistic and ideological connection, is a powerful and emotional tribute to his late brother Shankar, a name that evokes admiration, nostalgia, and respect across generations of Kannadigas. This book goes beyond biographical facts. It is a heartfelt journey through memories, struggles, triumphs, and an untimely tragedy. Today, I invite you to explore with me the life and times of Shankar through the eyes of someone who knew him his best, his own brother. When we think of Shankar, a cascade of images rush to our minds. The young warrior from Vandanundu Kaladalli, the dynamic auto driver from Auto Raja, the compassionate R.K. Lakshman inspired character in Malgudi days, and the visionary civic activist who dreamt of a better Bangalore. But who was the man behind these personas? What shaped him, inspired him, and ultimately defined him? These are the questions Anant beautifully answers in this deeply personal memoir. Written from a place of grief, admiration, and brotherly love, this book reveals not just facts and achievements, but an emotional map of who Shankar truly was. It strips away the myth not to diminish him, but to bring us closer to his truths. It reminds us that behind every icon is a human, vulnerable, passionate, conflicted, and courageous. Anant, the elder brother of Shankar and a stalwart of Indian theatre and cinema himself, is a towering personality in his own right, an accomplished actor and a public figure. Anant is known for his calm demeanor, philosophical insights, and social consciousness. In writing Nanna Tamma Shankara, Anant doesn't aim to glorify his brother with exaggerated tales. Instead, he peels back the layers of celebrity and myth to reveal the real Shankar, a restless, curious, idealistic, and deep humane individual. This is a tribute from an elder brother who not only lived with him but learned from him. Anant's intention is crystal clear: to preserve the legacy of a man who was so much more than an actor. Shankar was a reformer, a visionary, a dreamer, and most of all, someone who lived fully, intensely, and with a purpose. Anant doesn't speak of Shankar as a legend but as my brother, a phrase that appears frequently in the book and one that reminds us that this tale is deeply personal. For Anant, this book is a cathartic process, a healing act of remembrance, and also a socio-cultural document of a remarkable life lived in the surface of art and society. The book was written not merely to recount the events, but to preserve the essence of a life that burned bright and ended too soon. His urge to preserve the present legacy of Shankar, not merely as a popular actor, but as a visionary, a reformer, a grounded human being, and most of all, a man of people, feels as a sibling cathartic act of remembrance, and also the book serves as a cultural documentation, which makes us understand what made Shankar the cultural icon that he is even today, over 3 decades after his passing. The memoir begins with a touching portrayal of the Nag's family's early life in Honnavar and later in Mumbai. The Nag family hailed from a modest, Konkani-speaking Saraswat Brahmin background. Their father was a school headmaster, a man of principles, and their mother, a woman of grit and affection. The family faced financial limitations, but was rich in cultural exposure, discipline, and emotional warmth. While Anant was reflective and contemplative, Shankar was fire and energy, mischievous, daring, and endlessly curious. Their temperaments differed, but the foundation of love, mutual respect, and a shared passion for performance held them together. Anant recalls Shankar as a mischievous child with boundless energy and insatiable curiosity. Unlike the more composed and reflective Anant, Shankar was expressive, physical, and was always pushing his boundaries. Despite their differences, the brothers shared a bond rooted in deep affection, mutual respect, and a shared passion for theatre and cinema. Anant beautifully captures how this sibling relationship evolved through time, strengthened by shared dreams and individual pursuits. He also admires Shankar's daring personality, his clarity, and his instinct to lead. The brothers entered the world of theatre at a young age. Theatre became their school of thought, their training ground, and their shared temple. While Anant pursued theatre with a methodical seriousness, Shankar approached it with fire and instinct. Shankar's big break in cinema came with Girish Karnad's Vandanandu Kaladalli in the year of 1978, where he played a medieval mercenary warrior. The film was not just a critical success, it also earned Shankar the prestigious Silver Peacock for Best Actor at the International Film Festival of India. This role became a defining moment, revealing his raw intensity for the screen presence and an extraordinary achievement for a debutant. Anant describes how Shankar approached roles with a blend of discipline and spontaneity. He was not just an actor, he was a student of human behavior. Whether it was commercial film like The Auto Raja, a social film like Accident, or the experimental Vandamuttina Kate with Rajkumar, Shankar brought to each project an intellectual depth and artistic daring that set him apart. Anant makes an important observation here. He believed that Shankar had the rare ability to appeal both the masses and the intellectuals. He could do Puttanna Kanagal style emotional dramas, but also take on Girish Karnad's complex scripts confidently. He was equally comfortable with avant-garde narratives also. He was equally comfortable with commercial cinemas and avant-garde narratives. He wasn't afraid to question, challenge, or experiment. This creative bravery defined his artistic journey. One of the Shankar Nag's most enduring legacies is undoubtedly the television series Malgudi Days. Based on the stories of R.K. Narayan, Anant provides a fascinating behind-scenes look at how Shankar adopted the quiet, contemplative world of Malgudi into a visual masterpiece. Working with a tight budget and logistical challenges, Shankar cast theatre actors and non-stars, shot in real South Indian location, and managed to maintain the soul of Narayan's story. The series was not just popular in Karnataka, but loved across India. It displayed his genius in understanding narrative pacing, character nuances, and subtleties of Indian middle-class life. Malgudi Days wasn't just entertainment, it was a cultural movement. It introduced Indian audiences to the beauty of everyday life, the nobility of the small towns, and the richness of Indian storytelling. For Anant, Malgudi Days was the perfect representation of Shankar Nag's artistic ethos, simple yet profound, humble yet brilliant. What makes Shankar Nag extraordinary is not just his artistic talent, but his civic consciousness. He wasn't content being just a star. He wanted to change the world around him. He actively engaged in projects to improve urban transport, sanitation, and public awareness. He believed deeply in using one's influence for social good. Shankar was one of the earliest proponents of the Bangalore Metro Railway system. He had meetings with bureaucrats and transport experts and made detailed proposals to decongest the city traffic. His efforts, although cut short, reflected his vision for a future-ready Bangalore. Anant notes how Shankar viewed social responsibility not as charity, but as duty. Imagine an actor at the peak of his popularity spending time and energy planning urban transport system. That was Shankar Nag. For him, social engagement was not an extra. It was central to his life mission. This book doesn't shy away from Shankar's personal struggles, his frustrations, impatience with mediocrity, and occasional clashes with the film industry's commercialism. Anant writes with the honesty and affection about Shankar's emotional world, his deep love for his wife Arundhati, his circle of friends, and his relentless pursuit of excellence. Shankar believed in living fully, often intensely. He was known for late night brainstorming sessions, impromptu long drives, and his openness to new ideas. He treated everyone, from a light boy to a senior producer, with the same respect. Anant doesn't hide these shades. In fact, it's this honesty that makes the portrait more beautiful. We come to know a man who lived intensely, who loved deeply, who thought freely, and who never lost his respect for others, be it a sport guy or a senior bureaucrat. The most heart-wrenching part of Nanna Tamma Shankara is the chapter that describes Shankar's sudden death in a car accident. Sentence retake. The most heart-wrenching part of Nanna Tamma Shankara is the chapter that describes Shankar's sudden death in a car accident on September 30, 1990. He was just only 35. Anant writes this part with such a quiet pain that it pierces the heart. There are no dramatic words, no emotional outbursts, just a deep silence, a void that speaks louder than anything else. The grief that followed was not confined to his family. Karnataka wept. Thousands poured into the streets to pay their respects. Auto drivers, theatre artists, students, and fans from all walks of life joined in the mourning. It was clear that Shankar was not just a star. He was one of the people. Anant reflects on the unfillable void of his brother left behind, but also expresses gratitude for the impact Shankar made in his short life. He sees his brother's legacy not in what he left behind, but in what he continues to inspire. What remains after we are gone? Anant's memoir answers this with the clarity: ideas, dreams, and how we made others feel. Shankar remains an eternal symbol of what is possible when passion meets purpose. He didn't live long, but he lived well. And that is perhaps the greatest tribute one can receive. Nanna Tamma Shankara is ultimately a book about legacy, not in terms of award or box office records, but in ideas, values, and emotional impact. Shankar Nag taught us that art must engage with society, that fame is meaningless without responsibility, and that life, however short, can be made immensely meaningful through passion and sincerity. Anant doesn't portray Shankar as a perfect man. He shows us someone with flaws, struggles, and vulnerabilities. But he also shows us someone who never stopped dreaming, creating, and caring. And that is perhaps the most enduring lesson. To conclude, Nanna Tamma Shankara is not just a memoir. It is a deeply moving meditation of art, family, society, and memories. Through the eyes of Anant Nag, we get to know the real Shankar Nag, not just as a superstar, but as a brother and a human being who lived with remarkable depth and daring. As we read this book or hear about it, we are reminded that greatness is not measured in years, but in intensity. Shankar Nag lived only 35 years, but in that brief span, he changed the landscape of Kannada cinema, television, and civic consciousness. I urge all of you to read Nanna Tamma Shankara. It will not only deepen your admiration for Shankar Nag, but also touch you with this honesty, simplicity, and emotional depth. More importantly, it will inspire to live your own life with a little more passion, responsibility, intensity, clarity, humanity, and courage.
You were listening to Atul Prabhu Panimangalur speaking on the book Nanna Tamma Shankara by Anant Nag in the genre of biography. This is today's Voices from the Bookshelf. See you next